evening and welcome to this joyous event, the ordination of Karla Brockie into the Unitarian Universalist ministry. Much as this is a joyous occasion, so too is it solemn as Karla makes her vows to this sacred calling and vocation. 3 congregations are represented at this ceremony. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson is the ordaining congregation. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, where you sit right now, is the hosting congregation. And the Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Chandler is where Karla completed her ministerial internship. This occasion is a twofold expression of congregational polity. First, in Unitarian Universalist tradition and practice, congregations have the authority to confer ordination. In a very real way, it is congregations that make ministers. Second, the gathering of our 3 congregations is a deep expression of our Unitarian Universalist congregational way, bound in covenant with our sister and brother congregations to walk together in the ways of love and justice. I welcome you into this time-honored tradition. I also bring you greetings from the Pacific Southwest chapter of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, of which Karla is already a member. It is my honor to serve as president of our chapter, which includes ministers in Arizona, Southern California, and Southern Nevada. In service of our larger ministry together, we offer each other collegial support, continuing education, along with fellowship and friendship. Greetings and welcome to you as we settle into this sacred ceremony.
Karla, it is such a delight to be here with you today and with all of you. With so many of our congregations taking part, it reminds me of an earlier Unitarian church tradition. And that tradition was, during an active ordination, the surrounding congregations would come, just as you've come today, and they would question the person that's going to be ordained. That is right. How does that feel? So I don't have a little surprise of questioners to line up, thank goodness. But I do want to remind us all that the vitality of our Unitarian Universalist faith is enhanced by all of our connections that we have with each other. And with that in mind, it's not just a delight, but a very special joy to take part in this ordination. I have known Karla for years and watched her as she moved toward the Unitarian Universalist ministry. And each step along her way, Karla remained engaged with not just her congregation, but congregations from around our district. And not just congregations in Arizona, but congregations in Southern California and Nevada as well. She served as dean and chaplain for our youth camps. And she still serves as a congregational consultant, helping all of our other 50 congregations grow and be the best they can be. On behalf of all the lives that Karla's touched outside of the 4 walls of her congregation, I bring you greetings from those 10,000 children, youth, and adults that are in those 50 congregations in our beautiful district, and the over 1,000 congregations and 200,000 children, youth, and adults that are part of our greater Unitarian Universalist Association. It is great to be here with you all this evening, and blessings on your emerging ministry.
you greetings of joy and wholeness from the staff and volunteers at Tucson Medical Center Hospice, where we are all honored to work alongside of Karla, a spirit of peace among us.
As Secretary of the Tucson Chaplains Association, I am honored to bring you greetings on behalf of the organization, and especially from the Executive Board, of which Karla is a part, serving as its Vice President. We offer our heartiest congratulations and offer our blessings to an esteemed colleague on this joyful and wonderful occasion.
We gather to celebrate this joyful event. Ordination means consecrating or dedicating one to the sacred calling of ministry. Throughout our Unitarian Universalist history, new ministers have been ordained by the authority vested in each congregation. These ministers then go forth to serve our larger faith. We hallow this time together by lighting the lamp of our heritage.
I'm glad there are short ministers in this group. There is a little bit of place for me to stand up. It's an honor to participate in this ceremony because I know for Karla, this has been a long-held hope and dream. And this is one big step on the way to her actual ministry, although she's been performing it all along anyway. I thank her also, since in searching for a poem for this evening, I have surpassed my recommended daily dosage of reading poems. And that's a good thing. Later in the service, there will be what is called the laying on of hands, which is part of the act of ordination. But the poem I share this evening is about a different kind of laying on of hands, one that I believe is central to Karla's calling to and passion for chaplaincy work. A chaplain ministers to those in distress, those in grief, those stripped of dignity by the cruelty of illness, those who are often temporarily unable to raise a hymn of grateful praise to any kind of beauty, whether that be the beauty of the earth or the beauty of themselves. Through the power of total presence, the chaplain performs the mortal yet mysterious act of making whole again that broken and forgotten spirit of life, which is essential to our humanity. In this poem by Galway Cannell, he has wisely chosen to pair St. Francis not with a cute little puppy dog, not with a lion cub or some magnificent horse, but a sow. The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing. Though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on its brow of the flower and retell it in words and in touch, it is lovely. Until it flowers again from within of self-blessing. As St. Francis put his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and told her in words and in touch blessings of earth on the sow, and the sow began remembering all down her thick length from her earthen snout all the way through the fodder and slops to the spiritual curl of her tail. From the hard spininess spiked out from the spine to the blue milken dreaminess, spurting and shuddering from the 14 teats in her 14 mouths, sucking and blowing beneath them. And down through the great broken heart, she remembered the long, perfect loveliness of sound.
Like most good folk songs, it's past my point. And welcome to all the threads to me.
There's a passage from the Gospel of Luke in the New Testament of the Christian scriptures in which Jesus is talking to the people who traveled to see John the Baptist carry out his ministry. And he's asking what it was that they expected to find when they went to see John. What did you go out into the wilderness to look at, he asks. A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, those who put on fine clothing and live in luxury are in royal palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? When I tell people that I've just met that I'm a minister, there is one particular response that has proved to be far more popular than all the others put together. The most frequent response from these new acquaintances is first a stunned look, then they say, "Really?" As if I am possibly putting them on. Really? They ask, looking into my eyes to see if they can detect the malevolent gleam of the jokester. And having confirmed as best they can that I am telling the truth, they offer this explanatory statement for their astonishment. I just never would have guessed that you were a minister. And then, nothing. Though they have already shown a casual freedom with offering their unvarnished opinion up to this point, they choose this moment to rediscover a friendly reserve. Though I am offering my best ministerial, tell me more about that expression, they choose this moment to move on to other topics, or if we are at some sort of friendly gathering, to move on to other people. And I'm left wondering how to respond. I never would have guessed you were a minister. Do I not seem, what, serious enough? Properly reverent? Do I not display a compassionate heart? We've only known each other a few minutes. How could they tell? Do I seem too shy? Is my shirt untucked? Probably. Is there something between my teeth? What do these people expect to see when they see a minister? And how is it that this apple has fallen so very far away from that ministerial tree of their vision? Should I be offended? Should I have walked out of the room in a sacred huff when these people were still paying attention? Or should I have forgiven them on the spot, showing them just how much of a minister I really am? Rub their noses in my tolerance, understanding, and compassion. Or maybe I should be flattered. Maybe their picture of a minister is some stuffy, old, holier-than-thou spoilsport, or the sleazy, unctuous fundraiser of television evangelism fame. Maybe I am simply too cool to fit their picture of a minister. And I can hear my son Jack at this point saying, "Yeah, I don't think that's it." But an important question arises from all this. What is your picture of a minister? When you come to this service, what do you come to see? Now, the expectations are a little different for you all. You are Unitarian Universalists, so you are used to cool ministers, right? I mean, please, come on. People could mistake this for the MTV Awards. But still, we carry around our own pictures, our own expectations. What does a minister look like, act like, sound like? How does one go about identifying these creatures? And like any other attempt at identification, it helps when we see a minister in context, doesn't it? When you see us in our robes and stoles inside a church, there's a tip-off there. They just might be ministers. Now, I don't wear a robe on a regular basis for services, some ministers do, but I do always wear a stole. I seem to be the only one in the congregation wearing a stole on a Sunday morning, so there you go, tip off. Then I lead the service, deliver a sermon from the pulpit, further evidence. The stole is apparently not a fashion statement, or not only a fashion statement, but has to do with my calling and my role and my position as a minister. Visitors to the congregation can make an immediate identification through these means, but I sometimes wonder, when I am meeting visitors, shaking hands and expressing a warm welcome, I wonder if I had run into them first on the street, at the grocery store, in line at the post office, and we had engaged one another in casual conversation, and if somehow it came up that I was a minister, what would have happened? Would their jaws have dropped? Would they draw their heads back just a bit and exclaim, "Really?" Would they then go on to unceremoniously blurt out their explanation, "I just never would have guessed"? And as much as I want to continue to explore my own insecurities around this issue and make this all about me, I'm told by my colleagues that that's not appropriate for an ordination sermon, so fine. Fine, I'll move to the larger questions then. It's about how we identify ministers. It's about how we define ministry. It's about how we describe the context for ministry. Not so long ago in Unitarian Universalism, and currently for many other religious traditions, women did not fit into the generally agreed upon picture of a minister. Not so long ago in Unitarian Universalism, and currently for many other religious traditions, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people did not fit into the generally accepted picture of ministry. We can be proud of the progress that we have made, not always easy, nor smooth, nor perfectly achieved even today, but we can be proud of our commitment to an expanding vision of the picture of a minister. And as we expand our acceptance and affirmation of the diverse identities of our ministers, may we also expand our acceptance and affirmation of the diverse contexts of ministry itself. What is the context for ministry? A building where services are held, a room with a pulpit in it? What is the uniform of ministry? A robe, a stole? How do we identify ministers? How do we define ministry? What is the context for Unitarian Universalism? And one of the reasons that I ask these questions is because people who are going into community ministry, as Karla is, have often had to labor under this notion that community ministry is not real ministry. That community ministers are some sort of B squad for the parish all-stars. That community ministers do, well, whatever it is that they do out there. And then every so often they stop by to fill our pulpits and tell us a little about what that work is. Very interesting. How did we ever arrive at such attitudes? Well, listen, I think many of our congregations can get very wrapped up in internal affairs, right? Oh no, that's only my congregation. My congregation is very unique in getting very... And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that your congregation does that too. We can get very wrapped up in what is going on internally in the workings of our congregations. I get that. I understand that. It takes an incredible amount of work, a whole lot of time and talent and wisdom and commitment and cooperation and ingenuity and faith and forgiveness and focus. It takes an incredible amount of work and focus to keep a congregation going and growing and thriving. But this intense internal focus can lead us to the unfortunate and erroneous conclusion that this is the only place where Unitarian Universalism happens, that this is the only place where ministers can be found, that this is the only place where ministry happens. Community ministry. Community ministers bless us with the reminder, with a renewed awareness about the context for our ministry. What is the context of our ministry? The world. The world. Listen to the words we say as our services come to a close. Unitarian Theodore Parker, BR's a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Universalist John Murray, go out into the highways and byways, give the people something of your new vision, let your light shine, use it in order to bring more light and understanding. Our missions, our principles, our hymns, our readings all say it. Our religion was meant to go everywhere. It is made to travel the highways and byways. It doesn't live only here. It is alive here. It is enlivened here. It is inspired here. But it moves from here. It travels the highways and byways and alleyways and interstates and sidewalks and wilderness paths, going everywhere like sunshine. I'm going to go out on a limb. I've been making a lot of generalizations and assumptions here today, so what the heck, what's one more? I'm going to guess that you have never had a minister and will never have a minister who closes the service with these words. As you go forth into the world, please leave your commitment to this living tradition which we share by the door on your way out. Metaphorical baskets are provided to place your commitments in. You may place the principles which we affirm and promote in the same basket. We keep these here so that they will be available to you next Sunday. We apparently are short on the first and seventh principles, so if you find during the week that you are carrying these in your heart and mind, please bring them back. This, after all, is where we need them. This is where they are important. Be ours, a religion which, like our hymnal, is put away every Sunday. Go forth and do whatever it is that you all do during the week, and I'll see you next Sunday. I'm betting you don't hear that. I'm betting you hear things like, be ours, a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. I'm betting you hear things like, let your light shine, use it in order to bring more light and understanding. I'm betting you hear something like, show your brothers and sisters your rainbow design, bind up this sorry world with hand and heart and mind. I'm betting you hear something like, commit yourself to the building of a world with greater compassion, community, and integrity. Those last are words from the act of ordination that is coming up. Commit yourself to the building of a world with greater compassion, community, and integrity. No small task. No small expectation placed upon Karla. No small vision of our ministers or our ministry, both professional ministry and the shared ministry. No narrow context for Unitarian Universalism. What did you come to see? A prophet? Yes, and more than a prophet, Jesus goes on to say in that passage, more than a prophet. We ask a lot of our ministers. We are asking them to help us change the world. And as we ask them to use their skills and calling to change the world, we are all committing to that ourselves. We are engaged together in binding up this sorry, magnificent, hurting, beautiful world by spreading compassion, building community, practicing integrity. The reach of our ministry is not simply from one wall to the next. No, the context of our ministry is the world. It is the world. The uniform of our ministry is not just robes and stoles, but jeans and t-shirts, hospital scrubs and tennis shoes, suits and ties and skirts and dresses, work boots and flip-flops, sunscreen and caps. It can take place everywhere. We strive to live up to its highest principles everywhere. You, as individual congregations, you ordain ministers. How can you spot them? How do you know? Who is this minister? What is this ministry that we celebrate today? What shape will it take? What makes the members of a congregation, as the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Northwest Tucson says today, we see the minister in you. We affirm, support, celebrate, and proclaim your ministry to the world. As you look at the minister in Karla, what do you see? I know what I see. I see a minister who reminds me that we are keepers of a tradition which at its best goes everywhere like sunshine. I see a minister who embodies the awareness that the context of our ministry is the world, who puts that into practical application. I see a minister who not only gives the people something of her new vision, but opens herself to receiving from the people she encounters, increasing her understanding and compassion, and strengthening the ministry that she carries out. As we consider what ministry looks like, we are also, of course, considering what Unitarian Universalism looks like in the world. You probably all know about, and many of you participated in, the rallies in Phoenix opposing SB 1070 and promoting compassion and justice for immigrant families. Clad in those bright yellow standing on the side of love t-shirts, consistently and persistently bearing witness, you all became known to many as the love people. That's a beautiful thing. And here's my hope, that we can continue that, yes. And that even when the rally is done and the t-shirts are in the wash, we could, each of us, act in the world in ways that would continue to define us as the love people. That people wouldn't rear back and say, really? You're the love people? But they would nod their heads in recognition. Ah, yes, of course. You're the love people. We could tell. Let our lives preach more loudly than our lips. The love people. I see that in Karla, ever growing through all that she has experienced in this path to professional ministry. It will continue to shine from her being as she adorns herself in the many uniforms of ministry. It will follow her and lead the way simultaneously as she maneuvers the highways and byways to arrive at the many and varied locations of ministry. I see her golden thread woven throughout this room in the lives she has touched, in the work she has done, and the commitments she has made, and I look for that golden thread to weave itself into ever richer patterns as she carries her ministry from this place to the world. I came here to see that affirmed, supported, celebrated in what we do here and in what we all take from here. What did you come to see?
In the Unitarian Universalist Church, what do you call a $100 bill in the collection plate? A mistake. Well, this evening I'm going to try to have many of you make mistakes. It says that I'm supposed to be giving the offertory sentences at this point in time. Actually, I'm giving a second sermon, with due respect to my beloved colleague, Rod, who's one of my favorite preachers. I talked with Sarah Lambert at 25 Beacon Street last week, and I said, Sarah, when our young ministers enter the ministry these days, how much money do they owe? And she said, I'm glad you asked me that question, because I happen to have the figures right in front of me. That in 2003, graduating students owed $32,300 and change. I said, what's the attraction to ministry? I mean, that they would get that far in debt. And he said, oh, the story gets better. I said, how so? He said, last year, the debt level had risen to $50,000. Many of our newly ordained ministers, like Karla, are in their second profession, which means that they have a family and they have responsibilities in the community. They own a house, and they're going into the ministry. And they put themselves in debt to do it. Somehow that doesn't compute, because many of our ministers will never be able to afford to retire. Now, you probably came knowing how much money you were going to put in the plate tonight. I would love to convince you to at least double that. If you were planning on putting a bill in the plate, I would encourage you to take out your checkbook and write a check to the Living Tradition Fund and give until you feel good about your gift. The evening offering will now be received.
This evening, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson come together with all of you in this building of our sister congregation, actually it's our parent congregation, to perform a very special and sacred act, the ordination of Karla Brockie into the Unitarian Universalist ministry. In our tradition, ordination of a candidate into the ministry is an act, as Diane pointed out earlier, an act that can only be performed by the members of a congregation. It is an honor and a privilege for a congregation to participate in the ministry of an individual in this special way. This act is an expression of a special bond between minister and congregation. This is a bond that will continue to be felt by the congregation wherever the minister serves throughout her ministry. Although we in the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson are the ordaining congregation, as you know, Karla's ministry serves the wider community. And our support of her ministry is therefore an affirmation of the value of service to the wider community in which we live. It is a validation of the vital service that Karla performs in this community. Her compassionate ministry is one that is universal in nature. It takes place outside the walls of any church. It affirms and supports all people of all backgrounds, encompassing all the faith traditions of humankind. So bearing this all in mind, I charge you, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson, to maintain that special bond of connection with Karla, to continue to be her supporting congregation as she carries out her important ministry in this community. To be there for her and to continue to be a strong worshiping community to which Karla and all who seek inspiration can come to worship and to celebrate, to be renewed and to be energized so you can all carry out your important work in the world. I further charge you to follow Karla's example in your own life as a congregation by remembering that ministry, even within a particular congregation, should also look beyond itself and beyond its own concerns, as Rod pointed out, beyond itself, so that it can serve the larger community. And so at this point, I would like to invite the members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson to rise in body or in spirit. You are charged with continuing your dedication to this liberal faith and to supporting the ministries that serve this faith in the larger world. Are you willing?
We are willing.
Karla, it is my honor and privilege to issue the charge to you on this very sacred day. Today we consecrate you and your ministry to the service of the world through the Unitarian Universalist faith. You are a brave one for choosing community ministry as your starting place in UU ministry. From the mission statement of the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministers, we hear these bold aspirations for community ministers. We believe that only through many diverse forms of ministry can we heal the broken, create justice, and live in harmony with the spirit of life. We hold a vision of a larger ministry that sees the world as its parish. Such aspirations raise a question that I frequently hear from my patients in my work, almost daily as a chaplain. They ask, how on earth do you do this work day in and day out? Karla, tending to yourself as exquisitely as you tend to others is vital if you are to not lose your way in ministry of any kind, and especially community ministry, with its ambiguous and overarching sense of what constitutes your parish. In the service of that need to minister well to yourself so that you may minister well to others, I offer these 3 tender entreaties to help you create a ministry of integrity, joy, and sameness. 1, be mindful, Karla, of your professional boundaries. Avoid becoming a quivering mass of availability. As one church consultant describes ministers who feel they must always be available to anyone who says they need them. Honor your finite energies and time. Remember that those we care for have their own powerful resources and are also embedded in other communities that care for them as well. 2, mindfully tend your own spiritual life. UU Minister Reverend Kendall Gibbons describes the utter necessity of doing this with these wise words. And I say them to myself as I say them to you. We had better have in place spiritual disciplines that allow us to take people's burdens and cast them into the care of the infinite energy and creativity of the universe that is known to some as God.
if we are to offer ourselves as the faces and the hands of compassion in the world. And finally, number 3, intentionally remain in communion with your communities of support and accountability. Be vigilant about staying in community and avoid the isolation of community ministry to which we can so easily succumb. A Buddhist poet tells of the Hawaiian tradition called Lomi Lomi. In this tradition, families and friends often swim long distances together, and when one becomes injured or exhausted, the others will keep the tired one afloat, massaging them in the water before the group swims on. This act of keeping the tired one afloat while massaging their exhausted limbs is called Lomi Lomi. Lomi Lomi will come to you, Karla, in many forms of community, good friends, family, your supporting congregation, the UU Congregation of Northwest Tucson, the wider UU Association, spiritual directors, and trusted colleagues. Karla, I know you to be an audaciously creative woman of faith who will always be on the lookout for Lomi Lomi, your lifetime, your lifeline, as you answer the question, how on earth will I do this ministry day after day? So Karla, welcome to the blessed and rough and tumble world of community ministry. I am so pleased to be one of your community of Lomi Lomi. Karla, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson wishes to ordain you to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. Are you ready to enter into this ministry?
I am ready.
My fellow congregants join me in ordaining Karla by reading with me aloud the words from our order of service. We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northwest Tucson, hereby ordain you, Karla Brockie, to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We give you our blessing and our love, wherever you minister, insofar as you are able. We ask you to speak the truth as you find it, in love and freedom, to minister with compassion to persons in their joys and in their sorrows, to help people deepen their liberating connection with that which is greater than ourselves, to commit yourselves to the building of a world with greater compassion, community, and integrity, and to model by your example the principles of our free faith.
With a joyful sense of possibility and gratitude, deeply mindful of its privileges and responsibilities, I take up the ministry to which you ordain me. I am humbly supported in the awareness of our interconnectedness with one another, with every entity of the earth and star of the heavens. As a bisexual woman, I am overjoyed to be ordained in a faith which has long recognized the inherent worth of every person. In Unitarian Universalism, to be outside the norm is the norm, and we celebrate the gorgeous diversity among us. May my life of ministry bring comfort and challenge to our world by promoting compassion, justice, wonder, joy, and peace within the Unitarian Universalist faith, the interfaith community,
and in the wider world. May love be my doctrine, the quest for truth my sacrament, and service my prayer. Amen.
This is the stole that my congregation presented to Karla at the end of her internship, and it is my pleasure and honor to present it officially to her as a minister. And maybe I'll bring it around. On behalf of my congregation, Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation, I present this to Karla with all our love.
And this is a stole from Karla's community at TMC Hospice, made by one of our hospice nurses. Karla, this stole, a symbol of ministerial office, is a call to action. As we offer blessings of peace, love, hope, joy, justice, and kindness upon this stole, may it be a reminder of the work Karla is called to do. As she moves into the world, she carries the love of the TMC Hospice community with her upon her shoulders.
Personally, I'm so happy for you and for all of us on this day of your ordination. And in fact, you have been ordained for only about 5 minutes. Curtis and I, my husband and I, picked out a special Tibetan singing bowl for you, for your ministry, which we discovered is in the key of C. I want you to let it sound, quiet you, and center you in this moment of transition, of grounding, of achievement in the ministry of love, before we lay our hands of blessing upon you. Come over here for this. Bless this ministry with healing sound, with riotous laughter, with graceful tears, with infinite courage, and never-ending vision. and with all the hopes of our collective life. While Bjorn plays a quiet tune, we invite Karla's family to come forward to lay their hands in blessing upon her in faith, hope, and love. The colleagues who will work side by side with Karla, however you define yourselves in the relationship of ministry, please come forward to add your touch of blessing, hand to shoulder, connecting and expanding. The congregation may come forward now. Those ministering and ministered to, blessing through touch, Karla's ministry among us. And all those of you who have come here to bless this ministry, please come forward and extend your blessings as well. And if someone remains seated, please form a line to them to include them in this blessing. Out of this well of wisdom and hope, faith and determination, energy and love, we gather you, Karla, into ministry. Blessed be.